Temperatures keep climbing this week, and it's causing problems for people who have to work outside. Good afternoon, I'm Katie Link.
And I'm Jim Reek. Thanks for joining us. Columbia emergency crews responded to 2 heat-related calls today. KOMU 8's Landon Burke is feeling the sweltering heat firsthand, and he joins us live with the story. Landon?
That's right, Jim. My KOMU 8 weather app says it is 94 degrees outside, but it feels like 104, and that is just downright dangerous. As a matter of fact, the Columbia Fire Department told me about 2 instances today of a heat-related illness. One of these incidents actually happened in the farm behind me, just feet away from the KOMU studio.
The first call came from a construction site at Nifong in Bethel at 10:12 this morning. The second came from MU's South Farm Research Center off of Old Millers Road, right behind the KOMU 8 studio. A spokesperson for the fire department says people shouldn't expect to be able to work as hard in extreme heat.
People working outside, not really, accustomed to this environment because of our springtime weather that we've had. I mean, we've kind of had a below average summer so far, especially when you've had cool temperatures on 4th of July.
A spokesperson for city development says his days as a construction worker told him it's the new guys you have to look out for.
Was brought up in the construction industry as well. In your first 3 or 4 days on the job, it's a lot easier to push yourself past the place and not be aware, be scared to stop and take a break. Be wary of symptoms like nausea, headache, shortness of breath, rapid heartbeat, and don't be scared to take a rest. Obviously, our health and welfare comes first.
Both Simon and Potter told me it's important to be fully hydrated before you go to work. Now that means drinking lots of water, not coffee or soda. They also suggest taking lots of breaks inside if you're able to. Reporting live from Columbia, I'm Landon Burke for KOMU 8 News.
Well, it's just incredibly hot and humid out there. Let's send it over to Kenton to see when we'll get some relief.
Relief is on the way, but first let's take a look at all of our regional temperatures across mid-Missouri. 95 in Moberly, 97 in Boonville, 92 in Columbia, 94 in Jeff City, 95 at Lake Ozark. Mexico, you're at 93. Mexico, you're feeling like 111 though, 104 in Columbia, 104 in Jefferson City as well, 110 in Boonville, 106 in Moberly. Certainly a hot one. We still have excessive heat warnings along and south of I-70 going until 9 p.m. Those advisories to the north also going until 9 p.m. You can see we're still going to be hot here as we head into the evening. Almost 90 degrees still at 8 p.m. and then we're cooling down only into the middle 70s by sunrise with some showers and thunderstorms moving through. That's going to give us a break though because it's a cold front, meaning cooler, less humid conditions on the way. I'm tracking everything you need to know for the next 8 days. All that update later in the show.
Kenton, thank you very much. The Columbia-Boone County Health Department confirms another case of the mumps today, raising the number to 6. All of the cases are MU students on campus. The health department is waiting for test results from 5 other cases, including one more probable case. Mumps can spread if the person who is infected doesn't know they have it.
So it's spread by when somebody that is infected, they can talk, cough, sneeze. It's spread through respiratory droplets, and so the non-infected person somehow ingests that.
Mumps can be prevented with an MMR vaccine and washing your hands. Symptoms include fever, headache, earache, and swelling around the jaw.
Planned Parenthood opponents and supporters met outside the Columbia location during a national rally this afternoon. KOMU 8's Tom Barclay is in the studio with a look at what both sides had to say following recent allegations facing the national organization.
Columbia's Planned Parenthood is at the newest center point of a national debate. Supporters and opponents of the group weathered the heat today to voice their opinions, and not just because the Columbia location will soon bring back medical abortion services.
This must be stopped.
Chanting, car alarms. Around 100 people showed up to the Planned Parenthood in Columbia to voice their opinion during the Women Betrayed rally that seeks to defund the organization in light of allegations that leaders procured and illegally sold aborted fetal parts.
Women are being, they're being lied to. And so they're saying that there's a quick fix out there, and they're taking their babies and selling them. And not only is that against the law, but it's just wrong.
Supporters of Planned Parenthood say the video that led to the allegations was manipulated, and that the protesters will only hurt women by defunding Planned Parenthood.
People focus on abortion, and that is such a tiny sliver of what Planned Parenthood does. And The other 97 or 98% of what we do actually reduces the number of abortions. So if you close our clinic, you're really going to increase abortions. People are not going to stop having abortions when they need them.
In response to the allegations, the Missouri Senate created the Senate Interim Committee on the Sanctity of Life. The investigative plan to investigate Planned Parenthood to ensure state locations are not selling illegally fetal matter or misusing funds. The committee will meet Monday, and will meet again next month.
The Phelps County Sheriff's Department and the Highway Patrol are continuing their search for a woman who's been missing for several months. Authorities say Jacqueline Otten Metz was last seen with her boyfriend, Jesse Lee Bockover, in April. Bockover was a person of interest in her disappearance, but police say he was found dead from an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound. Police received information that Otten Metz's remains might be located on a rural farm in St. James, but they have not found anything yet. 2 women turned themselves in after yesterday's Jefferson City grocery store shooting. They are 19-year-olds Trenae Williams and Kivana Matthews. They face charges of first-degree assault and armed criminal action. The victim, Sierra Cannell, said she was trying to sell Williams and Matthews marijuana in the Hy-Vee parking lot. The 2 felt they were being ripped off, and Cannell grabbed a gun from her car. The 3 then fought over the gun, and it went off, hitting Cannell in the chest. She is in serious condition.
Today in Sedalia, police say a man turned himself in for the shooting death of a 16-year-old. Police say 34-year-old Brian Young turned himself in Monday, saying he was being robbed at gunpoint when he shot Andrew Myers. Myers died after being found outside a home on Friday. Police arrested Young on charges of second-degree murder, unlawful use of a weapon, and armed criminal action.
Columbia police are investigating a home invasion from last night. They say 2 men forced their way into a home near Garth and Grand and demanded money. Police say there was a fight. The 2 men ran off. Anyone with information is asked to call Crime Stoppers at 875-TIPS.
Governor Nixon took aim at political rivals today, explaining his veto of a controversial bill. Nixon spoke in front of hundreds of school administrators from around the state and Columbia this morning. He said one of his goals for the future is to have benefits for students of all backgrounds. He plans to veto Senate Bill 224, which would strip the A-plus scholarship program from some immigrant students. Education Commissioner Margie Van Deven said all students should be entitled to scholarships for equal work.
He spoke to the necessity of high expectations for all children, and that really the way that we're going to get there is through cooperation, working together.
Nixon said immigrant students should not be barred from scholarship benefits when they have worked hard in the classroom and community. Opponents of Nixon's view believe immigrant students do not meet the criteria for the A-plus scholarship program.
In national news, the FBI has arrested a Florida man who allegedly wanted to detonate a bomb at a Florida beach. The threat is tied to ISIS. 23-year-old Harlem Suarez is accused of planning to bury a bomb in Key West. The FBI says undercover agents sold Suarez a fake bomb, which he accepted. He was then arrested. A Minnesota dentist is under fire for killing a beloved lion in Zimbabwe. Walter Palmer paid thousands of dollars to hunt. He reportedly lured the lion named Cecil out of a restricted zone and killed it with a bow and arrow. Cecil was a popular tourist attraction. 2 others will appear in court for allegedly helping Palmer kill the lion. Police say a pastor sleeping in his office at a Houston church confronted a burglar and shot the man. It happened this morning. The wounded man was taken to a hospital. Police didn't release the name of the pastor or why he was sleeping at the church.
In your world news, President Obama left Ethiopia today and is headed back to the U.S. after a 5-day trip to Africa. Obama is the first sitting U.S. president to visit Kenya and Ethiopia and the first to address the African Union. He discussed the importance of cooperation to fight against terrorism and improve human rights. He also talked about African leaders needing to respect term limits. The World Health Organization says Africa is at risk for a large meningitis outbreak. The organization called for an immediate vaccine production increase to ward off the danger. The WHO says 12,000 cases of meningitis C and 800 deaths have been reported in Niger and Nigeria so far this year. WHO wants vaccine manufacturers to produce 5 million more doses before the 2016 meningitis season starts in January. China's stock market is still uneasy a day after dropping 8 percentage points, making its biggest drop in almost a decade. The Shanghai Composite Index fell more than 3% this morning before regaining some of its losses. Chinese regulators say they are prepared to buy shares in an attempt to stabilize the stock market.
Coming up, bench time, a common phrase in sports. This Columbia bench time is completely different.
And a new kind of shopping cart.